it's Reija and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to do the first installment in a hopeful series of if you like this book, try this anime. And I have 5 recommendations geared up for you, and they are not perfect analogues for the books that I'm pairing them with, but instead I focused on central themes, characterization and atmosphere. So without further ado, let's get started. The first book I have is Uprooted by Naomi Novik, and if you liked this book, try watching The Ancient Magus Bride. Now, I paired these two because of the Beauty and the Beast atmosphere. Both Agnieszka and Chise get chosen as a mage's apprentice, and they are not fully aware of what has befallen them, and they have to kind of find their way and find out about this person that's their patron, that's their teacher. And with Elias, there's also the fact that he's not fully human. He's half fae. So there's that kind of beastie nature to him as well. He is not capable of fully empathizing with people. He kind of makes decisions that are very questionable, and he gets critiqued quite a bit for them, and he doesn't understand why. And I think that he's very similar to the dragon in that the dragon has lived so long without much human contact, and he's such an old soul because of his magic, because he's a wizard, that he has kind of forgotten what it's like to be human. And I think that these two would pair marvelously because of the magical aspects and the kind of closeness to nature and elements, and also the Beauty and the Beast aspects. Next book I have is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, if you liked Annihilation because of the survival horror elements, then I would recommend watching Made in Abyss. Now, don't let the cutesy art style fool you. This series has plenty of nightmare fuelish moments, and it is very surreal. Made in Abyss takes place in a city that's located on top of a volcanic crater called the Abyss. And there are these explorers that go wandering down the abyss to scavenge technology to be used in the city. And there is a curse that you can descend the abyss quite safely, but when you try to ascend back to the city, the curse hits you and you will get maligned with all kinds of horrible after effects. And it gets worse the further down the abyss you go. The effects get much worse when you go up again. And the story is about Riko, a young explorer who one day when she's exploring with her friend finds a boy robot called Reg. And she takes him in and then gets a message from her mother, who has long since gone missing down in the abyss, and this makes her want to descend into the abyss in hopes that she will find her mother. And she goes on this journey with Reg, knowing that she may not ever return. And I think that it pairs beautifully with Annihilation. They are very similar in terms of atmosphere, that kind of desperate search for answers, and also the fear of the unknown, and also curiosity of what is happening down there and what causes these things. Abyss is kind of like Area X in that sense. So if you liked Annihilation, please give Made in Abyss a try. Next book I have is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Now, with this book, I focused mostly on the atmosphere, and I would like to recommend The Death Parade. The Death Parade is about this arbiter of death called Decim, who needs to weigh and judge souls when they come into the purgatory, and these people who have died, usually at the same time, need to compete against each other in these trials in order to decide which one of them goes to hell and which one of them goes to heaven. And there is a really nice gothic quality to this series. It is very well animated, and there's this very magical, ethereal atmosphere in Death Parade that I think is very similar to The Night Circus, and therefore I would very much recommend you watch Death Parade if you liked The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Next book I have is The American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and you may know that I wasn't a huge fan of The American Gods, but if you liked the premise of American Gods, try giving Noragami a go. Noragami also has a manga version of it, which goes into a little bit more detail about these things, but I think that if you are not ready to fully invest yourself in a long manga series, the anime is a very good place to start. It is about this god of violence and vengeance called Yato, who's trying to gain a following in the modern world, and who's trying to get himself a shrine and followers, and so that he isn't forgotten. And it's about his struggles to maintain relevance in a world that doesn't need him anymore. And there are plenty of gods from the Japanese and Asian pantheon that make appearances. And later there is talk of how indigenous gods have been forgotten and disappeared because of foreign new gods who have come to Japan. And it is a very good action-packed series, so I would definitely recommend you give Noragami a go if you have even a slight interest in American Gods by Neil Gaiman. And the last book I have is the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and this I want to pair up with Seirei no Moribito, or Guardian of the Sacred Spirit. And the reason I want to pair these two is similar themes of motherhood, themes of themes of oppression, of rewriting history to benefit the conqueror, at the detriment it has for indigenous people. And the story of Guardian of the Sacred Spirit follows Balsa, who is a political refugee and can't go back to her home country. She has been trained with the spear and is a warrior woman who takes up bodyguard jobs and protects people in order to make amends for the people that her escape from her country got killed. And she comes across this prince and sees an attempt at this prince's life and ends up saving him. And later she is called upon by the prince's mother, who makes a request that Balsa has to protect this prince because he has been possessed by a water spirit, and therefore the emperor wants to kill him. And the story is about Balsa protecting this child, becoming a mother figure to him, and also trying to find a way to save him from his fate. And there is a really nice quality to this story, because Balsa can be a very destructive force, much like Essun, but she's also caring. and she has this very cool relationship with an indigenous man called Tanda, who is a herbalist and a doctor, which reminds me a lot of a relationship Esson has in these books. And it is not nearly as post-apocalyptic as the 5th season, but there is an element to that because the water spirit that Chagum carries inside him supposedly will bring forth an era of drought that may end up killing hundreds and thousands of people. So there is that aspect. And I really love the 5th season, and I love Guardian of the Sacred Spirit. So if you are in any way interested or liked the 5th season, please give Guardian of the Sacred Spirit a go. It is a very fantastic series with hella good animation. And there you have it. These have been my recommendations for some anime. If you like these books, try these animes. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And I will see you in another video. Bye bye!